How's it going, members? I'm just going to quickly go over the basics of support and resistance, which is also known as supply and demand. So support and resistance in this instance is static, so it's not changing, it's the same, it stays the same. But support and resistance is basically a still level where we expect price to change, to reverse from, or where there's a lot of buyers or sellers come in. So you see here at 1.865, I knew that this was support as we almost tapped here, and we tapped again here, and there was a load of buyers in. Then we broke out, retested and dropped, came back up, tapped it again, dropped, tapped it again, dropped. So now I'm waiting to see if we can come and break that. So here it's known as support, as that's where the buyers are coming in, also known as demand. As the demand increases, there's more buyers, price should increase. But once you break support, it then changes to resistance or supply. So then when more supply comes into the market, then the price should drop. But support and resistance, you can pick it out quite easily, to be honest, looking through a chart. I'm just going to go onto a clean chart actually and show you from scratch. Okay, so with support and resistance, there's a couple of things that you want to look out for. One thing is psychological whole numbers. So I'd look straight for like something like 1.8. Because that's a strong psychological whole number, that means that there's probably a lot of buy or sell orders placed there, or targets or stop losses, because people do tend to just put a whole number like 1.8 rather than 1.799. So that's one of the reasons. So at the minute we know that 1.8 is actually the resistance now. So if price was to pull back up to 1.8, I would potentially look to enter shorts. And the next key level would be some kind of whole number like 1.77 or 1.775. But we also have, there's all different levels of stronger or weaker support and resistance, because technically everything is support and resistance. Like the support here, there's now resistance here, there's resistance up here. But the thing is, it's important to pick out the key points. And for me, the key points is either where it's been the most strongest reversals or the biggest number of reversals from there. So it's like the higher probability. So I'm just going to give you an example now. As I said before, we knew that 1.8 was a key level. After price broke 1.8, we came back up to retest. And as you've just learned, we had a beautiful tweezer top formation there. So you could have entered a short trade and sold a nice quick 100 pips, and that would have been perfect. So that's a nice representation of how you could use support and resistance to pick out a trade in confluence with your candlestick formations. I should also explain that support and resistance is a lot stronger on the higher time frames, so the 4-hour and the daily charts. So it's best to pick out your support and resistance on either a daily or a 4-hour chart to start with. See, before, when I was on a 1-hour chart, that looks like it was kind of a random support. That's why I didn't put it there straight away. But then if I go back onto the 4-hour chart, I can see that this is a very strong level of support / resistance, because you can see it tapped here, reversed, tapped here, was reversing, broke out, tapped, and boom, went very, very far. And then by the time we came all the way back down and tapped it again, and then we had another really strong reversal, came back down, tapped it again, another really strong reversal. So you can see that this level here, 1.786, which isn't even a whole number, that's quite a strong level of now support. So for me, if I was to look for a trade on this pair, I would only be entering either from support, I'd be entering a long back up to 1.8, or if we pull back up to 1.8 and look bearish, I'd be selling back down to support. Or if we was to break out and then come to retest, that would mean that support has turned into resistance, and I'd be looking for shorts then. So that's the basics of support and resistance. Please feel free to go onto your trading view and just test out. You'll eventually get the hang of it. Just look for where the wicks are, look for the psychological whole numbers, and I'm sure you'll do great. Thank you.